So today I'm driving this rather special 625 horsepower E92 M3. So I have two confessions to make. First one being, anyone who knows me, or if you've watched some of the other videos on my channel, you'll know that this is my personal car. So I'm probably a little bit biased in my views on it. I got the car in late 2019 from a YouTuber who took my old Megane 3 RS in part exchange and was very kind to offer to deliver the M3 to me here in Sweden, and this is where it's lived basically ever since. So why make a video now? Well, as I mentioned, the car's lived with me in Sweden since I got it, and unfortunately with all the modifications I can't register the car here in Sweden, which technically means can't drive it here either. So the car is heading back to the UK to find a new owner, and I thought I need to make a video while I still have the car, and also it's probably going to be a nice memory of the car to keep. So I could bore you with a Wikipedia history of BMW, but I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm just going to focus on what this car has had done to it and what it's like to own. Which brings me on to my second confession, which is that I've never actually driven a standard E92 M3. In fact, I've never driven another M3 other than this car. So I don't really have anything to sort of compare it to in terms of performance. Okay, so let's have a look at the modifications. Now, this car has a lot of them, and most of them were done by one of the previous owners, which is what attracted me to the car so much in the first place. So if we start with the outside of the car, going from front to back, we've got the GT4 carbon front splitter with functional brake ducts. We've got the GT4 carbon dive planes. We've got the GTR style carbon bonnet. We've got the Flossmann full carbon vented fenders. We've got Craft Square carbon fibre mirrors from an R35 GTR. We've got carbon fibre side skirts. We've got carbon fibre rear bumper spats. We've got Sabon carbon boot lid, CSL style boot lid. We've got carbon fibre GT4 rear wing on Mumbre Motorsport spoiler extenders. The chassis, well, it's poly bushed or solid bushed throughout, including the diff. It's sat on KWV3 coilovers, and we've got ground control camber plates up front, giving, I think we're on -3 degrees camber. We've got Apex SM10 18 by 10 inch wheels all round with PSI titanium stud conversion, and we've got the Monster Brembo GT 380mm disc brakes all round, 6 pots at the front, 4 pots at the rear. So if we move on to the interior, we've got the KPM KMP steering wheel with carbon paddles and Sparco 330mm steering wheel. We've got the Hard Motorsport carbon fibre door pulls. We've got the Willans 4-point lightweight harnesses. We've got the Cobra Nagaro leather and Alcantara heated bucket seats. We've got the GTS Alcantara centre armrest. We've got the Mumbre Motorsport rear cage, and we've got the Mumbre Motorsport rear seat delete kit. So now onto the engine. Well, the engine is quite simple. It's the ESS 625 supercharger kit, and that's it, job done. So what's it like to own this car? Well, as you'd imagine, it's a lot of fun. As I said, I can't compare it to a standard car because I've never driven one, but all the modifications, you know, they really make themselves known. What are my favourite bits about the car? Well, if we start with the outside, I love the way it looks. The fenders, the spoilers, the carbon everywhere. It just looks fantastic. I mean, it looks every bit as fast as it is. I love the interior. I love this KPM steering wheel. If anyone has a DCT car, doesn't matter what brand, and you're thinking about modifications, forget everything else, buy one of these. This is probably the best thing about this car. I love this thing to bits. It's so tactile, there's so much feel to it. It's the sound it makes with the magnets. I mean, listen, it's just fantastic. It's just got such a good positive feel to it. I love the thing.
I like it a lot.
I also love the Cobra seats and the harnesses. I'm a Recaro pole position fan, and these, I would say, are pretty much on par with the Recaros. They don't have the side slots for the lap belts, but you kind of don't really notice it, and they're very, very comfortable. The rear cage, you just look in the rear view mirror and you see it there. I mean, hopefully you never need to find out how useful it is by rolling the car, but just seeing it there is enough to make you feel more special in the car. And that, with everything else, the way that the windscreen is kind of angled, and just the feel of the car inside, how solid it just feels special. It feels like you're driving a race car, a track car, a performance car, something special. It's a fantastic place to sit. didn't mention it, I don't think, when I was going through the mods earlier. It's the IPE F1 system. So it's a Rusfellows test pipes, and it's race cats with the IPE exhaust at the back, and it's a valved system. So with the valves closed like it is now, so I can do the video for you, it's about 90 decibels. It's really quiet. You don't piss off the neighbours, you don't piss off your girlfriend, you know, everybody's happy. And then just press this little button here, and all of a sudden and it just sounds fantastic. And again, that's what cars should all be about, is them sounding fantastic and making you giggle and smile every time you drive them. Now, of course, I can't not mention the supercharger. So these cars standard are 414 horsepower, 290 foot-pounds of torque. With the supercharger, 625 horsepower, 410 foot-pounds of torque. That's just over 50% more power and nearly 39% more torque. And it transforms, I would imagine, the car. And because it's a supercharger, there's no lag, there's no waiting for it, there's no spike from turbo boost. It's the standard power delivery curve just amped up to 11, and there's power everywhere. So what are the downsides with this car? Well, I've got to say there aren't many. There's the weight. I mean, it's a big, heavy car, and even with all the modifications done to it and the weight saving, you're still very much aware when you're cornering and performing certain manoeuvres that it's a lot of mass and it's moving very quickly, and you can imagine things could go spectacularly wrong quite easily. I'm used to really lightweight cars, so this car feels even heavier to me than maybe it would do normally. The only other thing really that puts me off with this car is how complex it is. So there's electronics everywhere for everything, and every time you do something you can get an error thrown, and you're just so aware of how much complexity and how much engineering is involved in the car. It's not a simple thing, there's so much going on.
Dave, this conversation can serve no purpose anymore. Goodbye.
The final thing that I don't like about this car is the dipstick, the electronic dipstick. You can be driving along, perfectly happy, do an entire journey of 30-40 minutes, not know how much oil you've got in, and then other times you can drive it and it'll say, add a litre, pull over now, and you shit your pants. And then if you're new to the car, you pull over and you add a litre, so you're overfilling it. But when you get used to it, you realise that the oil system is terrible, and you reset it a few times, always twice for me, and then after it's had time to recalibrate and to remeasure, it says, I'm full. It's horrible, it's a nightmare. I don't know why they fitted it. But those few things said, it can't take away from just how awesome and how cool this car is, and how much I love it as a package. It's a wonderful thing, and I have loved the time that I've had with it.